Well, we have a hot mic. Okay.
All right, we're live.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order the Perinton Town Board meeting for April 6, 2026. Thank you to everyone for coming tonight. Um, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Miss Sarah Masterson, would you please lead? One nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay. Just a notice for everyone, the town board meetings are recorded now and may be transcribed using AI technology. And I'll start with introductions. I'm Jen Townsend, serving as town supervisor. My fellow board members here tonight are Councilman David Masterson, all the way down on the end, Councilwoman Emily Mishler, Councilman Mike Foligno, Councilwoman Meredith Stockman Broadbent, and our town clerk, Andrew Gilchrist. Staff who are participating tonight, we have Shelley O'Hearn, our deputy clerk. Let me see what order we have here. And Mike Dozer, our Director of Planning, our Commissioner of Recreation and Public Works, Jeff Nutting, and we have Scott Diamond, our digital media coordinator. Sorry, Scott, I wasn't prepared with your title tonight. Our executive assistant to the supervisor, Melissa Martins, and Commissioner of Public Works, Jason Kennedy, and our Director of Finance, Brian Dick, and our attorney for the town, John Mancuso. All right, first we have the approval of the March 25th meeting minutes. Before we take action, are there any additions or corrections? Okay, can I have a motion to approve? Mr. Foligno?
Second.
Mishler? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Next order of business is the monthly audit. I'll ask the Finance Committee if they have had a chance to review the audit materials.
I have reviewed and all are in good standing. Thank you as always to all department heads, staff, and Director of Finance.
Any other discussion?
Thank you for taking care of that this month.
Teamwork, dreamwork.
Can I have a motion to approve?
Don't move.
Second.
Mr. Foligno, second. Mishler, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Okay, next up, we are going to be skipping the conservation easement require resolution for this week. We'll be doing that next week. We're going to move on to a request from the Department of Public Works to authorize engineering services for the Turk Hill Road sidewalk project. Turk Hill Road was identified as a priority for new sidewalks in the town's 2016 active transportation plan. It is included in our capital improvement program, and the project would include the design and construction of approximately 4,600 feet of sidewalk extending from Summit Street in the village of Fairport to the Perinton Community Center and Town Hall. Monroe County selected the town to receive funding for this project through their municipal sidewalk funding program, with the county committing $307,000 towards the estimated total project cost of $1.226 million. The town board previously authorized the intermunicipal agreement with the county in September of 2025. Following a request for proposals earlier this year, the Department of Public Works is recommending the authorization of a contract with Liu Engineers to provide engineering services, including plans and specifications, environmental permitting, and a detailed cost estimate in the amount of $105,810. Funding for these services is included in the 2026 budget. Design is anticipated to be completed in 2026, with construction expected to be bid on in 2027, pending future board approvals. Now I'll open this up to the board for any discussion or questions. Yeah, go ahead.
I would say it's great. I really loved in the proposal too. It was just really thorough. And I love the chart of who does what, the flow chart. That was really great. It's a really exciting project. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
I love this project on the heels of the single track bike project, bringing more connectivity. This is a long needed project. We've been waiting.
That's what I'll say. Thank you to town staff and the county for some of those funds and the supervisor for sharing my passion. 6 years ago, when I was going for village trustee, I was advocating for it from the village position as we were looking at our new comprehensive plan and the walkability and connectivity between different parts. And it's really satisfying and fulfilling to now see this come to fruition from being on the town board side and getting matching funds from the county, which were huge, to really make this a reality, to make it safe and accessible for our families in the village, to get down to the rec center and all of those trails and points south for with our concerts, the Sunday night free ones, the new playgrounds, the inclusive ones, to have a safe sidewalk for motorized wheelchairs or other means of accessibility for people who are not able to drive either, but to still be really safe and see this come through is going to be huge. And to echo Councilwoman Mishler's points, this engineering firm is already familiar with projects in our town with some of the other ones they listed in that bid packet. So we've got a proven track record of familiarity with permitting processes. And the one question I did have, Commissioner Kenny, about this one, and it came to me this afternoon, so pardon I didn't email ahead of time, and I'm certainly not expecting an answer this evening, but I do remember hearing, do we still have a pedestrian bridge saved somewhere in storage? I thought there was a project that occurred where one was pulled and set aside.
Yes, you're correct. We do have the former pedestrian bridge that was on Master and Center Road 31 F. The state gave that to us, donated that to us. It's been in storage with the intent to reuse it on the Whitney Road Phase 2 project that the board currently approved some additional engineering. Unfortunately, the bridge is quite long and it needs to be structurally evaluated and then modified. So at this point, we're actually looking at potentially purchasing a new bridge for less money than it would cost us to rehab and reassign the old bridge. So we still have it and it's potentially usable. It's longer than we need on Whitney Road.
Would that be something that this engineering, if we authorize this contract, be able to at least assess briefly? And again, I get that same part. Sometimes you store things for the use of future, but it's been sitting so long or it doesn't quite exactly meet the parameters that trying to force that into that shoe, you end up wasting more time and money, but it can't hurt to have them take it once over.
Yep, no, for sure.
Much appreciated. Thank
Certainly
you.
do that.
Great, thank you. Any other comments? Okay. If there's no more discussion, I'll ask if there's a motion to authorize the town supervisor to execute a contract with Lou Engineers for engineering services related to the Turk Hill Road Sidewalk project as outlined in the Department of Public Works memorandum.
So moved.
All right, Felino, second with Councilman Masterson.
Choice.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and that vote carries. I forgot to mention, as I was asked by our town clerk, when we move, let's do a verbal motion. So if you second, say I second, move, say I move. So it's recorded.
With our name?
You don't need to say your name.
Oh, okay.
Just say I moved or second. Yep.
Do the pen flick.
Hard to do darts back and forth.
Yeah.
Right.
He's raising.
Thank you. Okay, so next up, we have a memo from the Director of Communications regarding vendor selection for the Perinton Quarterly, the town's new townwide print publication. As part of our enhanced communication efforts, the Supervisor's Office recently launched the Perinton Quarterly, which is mailed to residents 4 times per year and is intended to provide accessible, consistent updates on town projects, services, and initiatives. The Communications Department solicited quotes from multiple vendors for printing services and coordinated with Perinton Publishing for mailing and distribution. Based on quotes received for approximately 22,500 copies per issue, Penny Lane Printing was identified as the lowest responsible bidder and the most cost-effective option. The estimated total cost per issue, including printing, mailing service, and postage is approximately $11,380 with an estimated annual cost of $45,520 for 4 issues. A recommendation is before this board to authorize Penny Lane Printing for printing services and Perinton Publishing for mailing and distribution. Are there any questions or discussion? Okay, I don't see any. At this time, I'll ask if there's a motion to authorize the selection of Penny Lane Printing for quarterly printing of the Perinton Quarterly and to utilize Perinton Publishing for mailing and distribution as outlined in the Communications Department memo.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Mr. Masterson, Stockman Broadbent. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Next on the agenda is a request from the Planning Department for a resolution supporting the town's submission of an application to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Open Space Conservation Grant Program. The proposed application relates to the potential acquisition of 3 parcels totaling approximately 114.7 acres along Pittsford Palmyra Road, owned by Mr. John Keenan. These parcels are located adjacent to the White Brook Nature Area and represent one of the largest remaining undeveloped landscapes in southeastern Perinton. If ultimately acquired, the property would preserve woodlands, open fields, and wetlands, protect resources within the White Brook watershed, and expand the town's protected open space to approximately 350 contiguous acres, while supporting opportunities for passive public access. The action before the board this evening is to adopt a resolution that authorizes the submission of the grant application and allows the supervisor to execute the necessary documents. Adoption of this resolution does not obligate the town to purchase the property. It simply enables the grant process to move forward should the application be successful. Is there any discussion?
I just want to thank Director of Planning, Mr. Dozer, for your work and research on this one in the memos to it. I really appreciate that. And I think it's a fantastic idea if we can go through it, but I just want to acknowledge that effort you put in. Thank you.
Thank you.
It has been a tight turnaround, so there's been significant effort in getting this done. Thank you.
So explain to me how it works. If we are awarded the amount of money, that the maximum amount, which I think was 3.5 that you're applying for, and we are awarded that, and the property is valued at 2 million. What happens to the extra money, or how is that assessed? Any idea?
I think we have to make sense of what we're asking for the property price. And Mr. Dozer, you can jump into if I'm getting this wrong. So we have to have 2 valuations done on the property and then determine what the fair market value is. And that's what we'll have to make a case for why we're asking for that money. And then hopefully that's the money that we receive. It's working out now with Mr. Keenan, how much he's willing to accept for his property based on the valuation. Do you want?
That's right. Yeah, that's correct. Right now, we've retained Ryan and Associates to do a appraisal on the property, or actually it's one step before an appraisal. An appraisal would occur at the time of closing, but for all intents and purposes, an appraisal or report that will determine what the fair market value of that property is, and then presumably we would we would make the grant request based on the appraisal. And ultimately, the way the grant would work, it's a reimbursement grant, as most grants are. So the town would be fronting the money and be reimbursed by the Department of or DEC rather.
The DEC, okay.
There's no match necessary.
No match.
Yeah.
Has this ever been done for other properties within Perinton, this application, or is this something that is the first time around?
The town has acquired development rights of other properties in town, at least 2 or 3.
This grant?
Not through this.
Okay.
This is a relatively new grant, or at least
Okay.
this round is relatively new. And maybe in the past there have been other types of grants that are similar to this from the DEC, but this one is new. It's round 1. But in the past, the town has used its open space preservation funds to either acquire development rights or purchase property outright that's to conserve it.
Do you feel that we would be a pretty competitive, this is a competitive application?
I think so. I think a lot of the planning documents supported, even dating back to our 2012 farmland protection plan,
So there are 3 or 4 plans that support this type of acquisition for the purposes of conservation. And I think putting it together with White Brook Nature Area, you're going to create a contiguous, what they call landscape scale size of land that would be, I think, pretty competitive for any of the, for anybody reviewing the grant. I think it is.
And during this
Yeah.
process, the land stays on the market. So,
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And we should say that Mr. Keenan is open to doing this. He has to be a willing participant and write a letter in support of it, of which he is.
okay,
Mhm.
that's promising.
Whoops, I'm sorry.
That's really exciting. I hope
Very
that it worked out.
Well, it's really great too, because it doesn't cost us anything. So if we're able to get this very large parcel, there's a lot of benefits to it. Its proximity to the landfill. I have to imagine that I'm not the only one on this board that has concerns about more housing going near the landfill. And there's just a lot of reasons why I think this checks the boxes of being a good fit for this grant. Okay, any other discussion?
Yeah, I just think back to your point, and everyone else's, the fact that the state looks at it this way, that they're going to be effectively doubling that open space by connecting the two. I think the fact that it's been historic farmland for almost the duration of the existence of the town of Perinton, where it's not like it was a factory and then cleared and they have to worry about, what they're doing in Brighton right now underneath that, what looks like a field now, but it was a brick factory and they've got contaminated soils. I think the state, that also bodes very well for us, that it's there is no risk of future issue in terms of that, and it preserves the historic use ever since we were founded.
I'm impressed with this project. I'm thrilled. So thank you so much to all that have participated in this coming to at least this point. Really exciting.
Right. Anything there? You good? Okay. All right. At this time, I'll ask if there is a motion to adopt the resolution supporting the submission of the New York State DEC Open Space Conservation Grant application and authorizing the town supervisor to execute any required documents related to the application.
Moved.
Right.
Second.
Meredith and Emily, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Next on the agenda is a memo from the Finance Director requesting authorization of several amendments to the 2026 budget. These proposed amendments have been provided in advance, and they affect the General Fund, Part Town Fund, Recreation and Parks Fund, Sewer Fund, and Debt Service Fund, and are intended to reflect recent initiatives and organizational changes that better support town operation and services. Importantly, these amendments do not increase the overall 2026 budget. All changes are being made through reallocations within existing appropriations. The amendments include, among other items, creating budget capacity for the Perinton Quarterly, supporting the appointment of the executive assistant, authorizing legal services, restructuring positions within parks and recreations, and clarifying the accounting of interest income in the sewer and debt service funds. The detailed transfers and adjustments are outlined in the attached schedule. Again, no new spending authority is being requested beyond the adopted budget. And I'll defer to Commissioner Nutting quickly to explain in more detail what we're talking about in regards to the Rec and Parks position.
Thank you, Ms. Supervisor. Yeah, so we have been evaluating the role of the Parks Director. Chris Dudley currently serves in that role. There's been some significant changes in the last, I would say, 3 to 5 years that have impacted the actual responsibilities of that role. We have seen development of more support staff to help all town operations, but several of them are really doing a lot with the Parks Department, specifically the Safety and Security Department led by John Overacker. They've taken over all the evening and weekend oversight and management of the parks properties. Communications Department has helped significantly with external communications and marketing and supports all of our signage. IT has played a more leading role in parks. We've also added a new rec supervisor office manager this year who has the ability to take on more parks administrative duties. With the addition of the part-time parks clerk, that position started probably 4 or 5 years ago. Additionally, we have transitioned, I think 3 years ago, we transitioned our foreman position from a working foreman, which was someone that was expected to be in the crews doing the work, also supporting management, to a straight foreman position, which is really just a management position overseeing the crews in their work zones. We've also seen significant increase in parks usage, both for internal and partnered events. Items like Winterfest, which is something we're working on starting in collaboration with some other community members this winter, expanded 4th of July events, more sports tournaments, concerts, festivals, running races, the list goes on and on. So naturally, the Parks Director has been the primary liaison for all of those positions. So that is not something that we were really doing 5 years ago to the extent that we are now. So that role has evolved. Significant work with our various sports groups, making sure that we're balancing the use between all of our sports and all this different clubs. So that has been much more effort than it has been previously. So we see a really great opportunity to transition the Parks Director into more of a recreation-focused role as an event director. Some responsibilities included in that would be oversight of all town summer concerts, center stage, gazebo, kids concerts. Right now, that is overseen by our assistant recreation director. Continuing to be that liaison for community events, 4th of July, Winterfest, liaison for the large-scale events, sports tournaments, the Rochester Events concerts, the Hoochie-Nanny, the Cycle of the Erie Canal event. Those are things that Chris is already doing, not the summer concerts, but those other items. Continue to do the management of all the park buildings, shelters, athletic fields, and other facility uses. Continue to be the primary liaison with the Crescent Trail Association. We want to play a very proactive role with that organization to ensure their longevity. We think that we need to provide them some more internal support for that. We are anticipating some more sustainability initiatives with the kind of relaunch of the Sustainability Advisory Board. This position could take on a leading role with that. Continuing to support community garden management. And we have some really great ideas for some volunteer programs to support our parks facilities, specifically our garden beds, beautifying those and really getting volunteer community support with those, because that has just been difficult for our park staff to handle on a day-to-day basis. So you've heard a lot of these things are continue to do. So many of these are things that Chris is already doing, but I feel it aligns closer with recreation than parks. So Chris is the perfect position for this role. He works very well with these community groups. He has a passion for these events that take place in our parks. He's built the relationships with the sports groups. So in my opinion, it's a pretty simple transition as far as taking Chris and putting him into this role. The items that I've referenced that Chris is currently doing, those are going to be distributed between myself, our foreman, Dylan Dayan, one of our clerks, and several other support staff. Still working through the really fine details there, but we've got a good general structure in place to proceed with this. So the actual ask is just transferring the remainder of the Parks Director's salary for 2026 into the Recreation Department. But I didn't think a bulleted item on a budget amendment sheet was enough information, so I wanted to provide a little more rationale to that. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. That was really helpful. Any questions, any discussion from the board? Nope. Okay. If there's no other discussion, I'll ask if there's a motion to authorize the proposed 2026 budget amendments as detailed in the Finance Director's memorandum and accompanying schedule. Can I have a motion to approve? All right. Moved by Felino, second by Mishler. All in favor? Aye, that carries. Okay, that's our agenda items for tonight. Supervisor updates. I just have a few things. I see Dan in the audience. Hello, sir. I want to comment briefly. I know we had on the agenda to discuss 347 Aralt Road. It did come off the agenda. And I'll explain why it came off the agenda quickly. We are waiting until we have our study done for the Canal Overlay District to help us, to help guide us and what we want to require for that. So we have taken that off the agenda and we're waiting, and the developer knows that we're waiting until we get that feedback, and then we can use that in our ability to make that decision. So that's why we've waited now. But again, during public comment, I'm sure you may have other questions, but I just wanted to make sure that you realize I did notice you out there, and I probably know why you came. Also, I want to mention that our revaluation process, and thank all of those who have come in with questions and concerns. Thank everyone who's been working the reval process. It has been a lot of folks in and out of these doors every day since the letters were sent. Every single person that's come to the town has been, whether you're panicking or not, has been kind and respectful. So we're very thankful so far. The process has been orderly and smooth, and we're hoping to answer questions for folks, and get everyone through this process. Again, don't ever hesitate to call the assessment office if you have questions or concerns. They will take care of you. And lastly, being here during spring break, this was my first time at town hall during spring break. It is a full house in this place all of spring break, and what a realization to how great our programming is and how helpful for parents who need to get their kids out of their house for a little while during the break. And there was like nowhere to park in this entire area for the entire break. So I just wanted to applaud the efforts of our recreation staff and everyone who made that possible, because it was very cool to see. Any other board updates at this time?
I just want to circle back on the Perinton Quarterly. I think that's money well spent. I've heard nothing but great feedback from residents, how informed they are now, and I definitely think it's a wonderful idea.
Oh, thank you. It's great.
I loved that trout season opened and that we had these two gentlemen. Yep.
Those were great shots, by the
Great
way.
pictures.
Oh my
some
gosh, much bigger
gigantic
fish than I
trout.
was visioning
Great
in trout
nice
season.
on yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Very cool.
Perfect segue to my update. It was the least productive opening day ever due to flooding. Roads were closed throughout almost every park. Fortunately, Spring Lake did not get it nearly as bad as Powder Mill or Ellison or like Shannon Philbrook. But I will say the Reedman Foundation Trout Derby, which is the main fundraiser for Powder Mill Park Fish Hatchery. It's run by a private nonprofit. In conjunction with the state DEC, the flooding was so bad, the DEC did not release thousands of the stocking fish. So that derby is now Saturday, April 18th. It is $5 to enter. $500 goes to the largest fish caught between 7 a.m. and noon from within the confines of Powder Mill Park.
Good.
Yeah. So there is a second chance now that people are back and it's not spring break. But go to their website and find out.
Great. Okay. All right, now we'll open up for public comment. If you are here and you would like to comment, when called on, come on up to the podium, state your name and address. If you are online and you'd like to comment, please hit the raise your hand button and we will mute you when we tell you it's time to speak, or unmute you. Depending on what you want to say, when it's your time to speak. Is there anyone here, Brian, that would like to speak?
That's just me. Ryan Watkins, 9 Briarwood. So I was reading the memorandum that was posted, so thank you. I missed it last time I was here. Is there, I think we talked about posting the draft schedule to the plan online. Has it been posted? If you do, can you do it or send it to me, please? Thank you.
Yeah, we'll get some version of a schedule up there so that you can see our milestones and when we're planning on trying to get to them.
Part of that is the hiring and target dates for the phase, call it the phase 1, the Briarwood phase engineer on that plan as well. This was like 200 some thousand at cost. So I assume that, that has to be gone through the board approved,
Right.
all
Yep.
that kind of stuff. That's a high value. So I wanted to see when I should be ready to come to a board meeting with lots of questions that day.
Yeah. Commissioner Kennedy, do you have any updates on schedule that you wanted to share with Brian?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Thanks.
Just real quickly, I think the first big milestone at this point, after debriefing with the board and getting positive support to continue the process for the potential district extension was the need to prepare a map plan and report and standard procedure per special districting. So staff is working on that now. We expect to do that, complete that here this month of April. We would then want to submit that information to our third-party financial consultant, Bernard Donegan, that's going to facilitate the official financing estimate and statement, so debt service impacts, et cetera, which is something I know the board obviously expressed interest in reviewing as well. We would look to do that in May. We'll also have to prepare our draft seeker documents. We intend to have those drafts, the draft information prepared by the middle of June. Certainly want to review that with town council and then present that to the conservation board. We're tentatively targeting the end of June for the conservation board meeting. And then I think that first big milestone, Brian, I know that you were focused on in our last conversation was the public information meeting. So it's our intent to basically do those first three steps and their associated tasks to get us prepared for a public information meeting that we've tentatively set for June 23rd.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. That was very helpful.
Good.
Now I need some help maybe from you or somebody else's. What other permits are the residents we going to need to apply for during this process? We're going to be hiring folks, contractors to come in and dig holes in our yards, assuming there's some permit required through the town of Perinton to do said work. Is that all that information easily available and understandable on the Public Works website?
It's actually on the town website. It is available, and it's a basic sewer connection permit. Pretty straightforward, and we'll certainly happily walk any and all residents through that process should we get to that point.
Yeah, I just was looking on my phone real quick. I thought I had found it. I just want to make sure. It looked like it was about $1,000 for said permit. Is there anything else that would be required? Any other cleanouts? Because I'm assuming there's existing pipes in the house. Most homes from the back of the house to the front of the house. I'm assuming you have to someone will have to inspect the piping, and then also if the DEC requires the old septic tanks to be filled in or decommissioned some fashion, that will have to be stamped. Is that something that has to go through the town of Perinton, do you know? Or is that strictly DEC?
Oh, that's all part of the sewer connection fee.
What is?
Certainly,
Okay.
Internal plumbing and whatnot will be case by case, depending on
Okay.
the existing homes. And then the septic abandonments, as I think was mentioned at a prior meeting, there'll be some coordination with the Monroe County Department of Health as well.
Department of Health.
All part
Okay,
of
that's
that
what it
same
was.
process.
Thanks. I probably just didn't write that down. There was a lot to write down last time. Okay. I can't think of anything else. All the research I've done, it looks like around called $5,000 to $10,000 a connection, and then addition to the permit. So I think most of us are looking at
Great.
10 grand
Yeah.
plus or minus a few thousand, depending on how far your house is from the road. And is there any other fees that would be required or any other work if you're on the opposite side of the road where the piping would go in, assuming that the team will just dig out the road completely and the pipes connection points will go in with no other work?
Yeah, as part of the actual sewer project, should we proceed, we'll extend those service laterals from the main back to the right-of-way line. So those pipes will be readily accessible we install a clean out and then at the property line, and then the property owners would be responsible for doing any internal replumbing to redirect the flow and then connect to those clean outs at the right of way line
Got
at the edge of your property. So we want to avoid cutting the road up after we put the new sewers in.
Oh, that's bad. Michael, last time you suggested up to 3 quotes for contracting. Is that just for ensure that pricing isn't wildly off in
Yeah,
today's
that's it. I
climate?
mean, and not even just plumbing, if I was to do a roof or a deck or a porch or anything, that way you get high, middle, low roughly. And generally, if, all are within, say 10%, then it's go with you feel with. If you get two that are, and this is just not just for sewer, this is PSA for any type of large scale project in your life. And then if you get one that's way higher than the other two, what some clarification, always if one is like 20% below the other two, what aren't they seeing? Where are they gonna, but it's just that way, the old math principle, 3 points to make a line, 3 votes to get a good decision. Yeah, because 2 are only a line segment.
Understood. One question I had to follow up on there. Is there somebody that you know, or maybe yourself, that would be able to?
As a board member, I cannot recommend anything.
I didn't
All
think
will
so.
say is, no, but here's what I will say. If you go to the city of Rochester is the authority having jurisdiction for plumbers in our county, and they will carry a list of every master plumber license in the county. And then do your independent research from there. As
Got
the
it.
municipal official, I can either
Yeah.
confirm or recommend a single person.
That's what I was really driving at.
That's where you-
The 3 made sense to me. I was considering more, but I mean, I just didn't know who to call. Only Google. I can only Google. I didn't know where the source of
But
information.
that, but that would
came
be
from.
it. Go to just type in Rowe County or City of Rochester licensed master plumber. Just make sure whoever you call is one of those firms. There's a couple hundred for sure.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, you can get as many proposals as you want, but I would recommend minimum of 3 for any project.
I just wanted to find somebody who was familiar with the area and perhaps was located somewhere nearby, but I don't know if it really matters. I didn't think so. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a
Ryan.
good night.
Anyone else that is here would like to comment? Yeah, come on up, Dan.
One quick question.
Sure.
And sure, 333A roll. You mentioned that it's been put on hold. Is there a timeline for that canal assessment or whatever?
We are moving forward now, so probably a few months. 3 months.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Just I was curious when to start
Mhm.
seeing balls rolling. Thank you.
You got it. Thanks a lot. Okay, is there anyone online?
We do have some guests online, but nobody currently has their hand raised.
Okay. All right, then I will close public comment. And we do have one matter of urgency for tonight. This is a resolution which reaffirms several previously authorized budget transfers from the town reserve funds that are subject to permissive referendum under New York state law. The town board previously authorized these reserve fund transfers at meetings held in January and March of this year. Because transfers from reserve funds are subject to specific statutory notice and petition requirements, this resolution readopts and reaffirms those prior actions to ensure full compliance with the required public notice and permissive referendum timelines. Basically, we needed to put them in the daily record, and we didn't, so we're reaffirming them now. The resolution does not introduce any new transfers or new spending. It simply restates and reaffirms the previously approved transfers, including funding to parks improvements, information technology, highway and public works equipment, recreation programming, and sewer operations. Adoption of this resolution allows the town clerk to publish the required legal notice and ensures the public has a full opportunity for review consistent with state law. This action is procedural only and does not change the substance of what the board has already approved. Is there any discussion and/or questions? No? Okay, at this time, I'll ask if there's a motion to adopt the resolution, I think 2026-12, reaffirming prior reserve fund transfer authorization subject to a permissive referendum and authorizing the town clerk to post and publish the required legal notice. All right, Stockman Broadbent. Second, Masterson, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Okay, that's it for tonight. We will be going into, well, now I'll ask for a motion that we enter into executive session for the purpose of consulting with the town's attorney regarding legal matters.
So moved.
Right,
Second.
Mr. Felino? Mishler, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you, everybody. We'll take our executive session in the conference room.
7:41.
I will be adjourning immediately after executive session.